Eric, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you very well. And please introduce yourself and tell everybody where you are.
Okay.
And please tell us a story.
Yeah, thank you. Hello, everyone. I'm Zareen. I am a researcher by profession and a storyteller by passion. I was mentored by Dr. Eric Miller. I'm from Chennai, India, and I have set up a little academy here at OMR Chennai called the Story Fields. This academy will cater to storytelling along with arts and animation. So that's a little introduction about myself. But today, I'm going to become another person. I am Karika now for a few minutes, and I am here to tell you all my story. I am Karika, and you know what? When I was just 5 years old, I became a bride. Yes, today I am here to share my journey with all of you. My family was one among the 9 families which lived at the Annapurni foothills of Himalayas. Every day, I woke up early to help my mother with her household work. And like all days, mother woke me up that day too. She said, Karika, Karika, wake up. Karika, wake up, Karika. It's time, wake up. Uh, I was sleepy. When I opened my sleepy little eyes, I saw that my brother was still sleeping. I got an idea. I went and I hid inside my brother's blanket, for mother never disturbed brother whenever he was asleep. So I slept for a while. After a few minutes, I got up. My brother Shambu, he too got up. And you know what happened then? Shambu left for his school, but I had to stay back and I had to help my mother with her household work. That's not fair, isn't it? But approximately 90 years from our times, things were that way. The boys went to school, but girls, they had to stay back at home and do all the domestic work. I went to Shambu this time and I told Shambu, Shambu, today I'm going to come to school with you too. But Shambu said, Hey Karika, no, school is not for girls. You have to stay back home. And he pushed me to the ground. I was sad. But whenever I was sad, I played with my stones because stones were my only toys. I picked few stones and I started to play with them. Just then, I saw a stranger auntie entering my village. And you know what? She was entering my hut. I was happy because whenever guests came to our house, grandmother gave me an extra cup of chai. I went running into my hut. Grandmother and mother, they told me, Karika, get up. Don't be there when elders are speaking here. Hmm. But I was curious to listen to what they were speaking. So I went and hid behind my window and I started to listen to whatever they were speaking. You know what they were speaking about? They were talking about my marriage. Marriage. I'm just 5 years old. How will I get married? I went running to them and I told them, no, I'm not getting married. Granny, I'm not getting married. Mama, I'm not getting married. But they were not ready to listen to me. They told me, Karika, go out and play. Your place is not here. I was sad. When Shambu came back from school, I told him, Shambu, Shambu, listen to me, Shambu. Mother is planning for my marriage. I'm just 5 years old. Shambu was also sad now. He went to mother and he asked her, Mother, are you planning to get Karika married? Is it true, mother? When he asked that to my mother, you know what she told him? She told him, Shambu, don't question us. You don't have the rights to question elders. That is what she said. So sad. After a few days, mother called me and she said, "Hey Karika, I'm taking you for a party." Party? Wow, that's nice. I get to eat a lot of good food at party. I was so happy. I asked her, "Mother, where is this party happening?" She told me that this party was happening at Nepal. But sadly, I did not know that it was my own marriage party. We started from home. We covered a huge distance, and finally, we reached the marriage spot, and that was the groom's place. When everyone started to congratulate me, only then I started to understand the reality. I cried. I told them, "No, I'm not getting married." That's when the women around me, they told me, "If you dress up in this beautiful sari, you will look like a princess." Wow. I told them, "Will I look like a princess? Then okay, I will get married." So they dressed me up in a beautiful sari. I wore a lot of jewels and I became a bride and I was married too. After marriage, I thought I got a new playmate. But when I looked at Ketu, my husband, he was grim faced. Huh, I thought, why is Ketu not like Shambhu? Why is he not warm towards me? Will he play with me? I had no answers for any of my questions. And in a few days, my family, they left me back at my in-laws' place. I was lost. I cried out for my mother. "Mother, where are you? I feel so lonely, mother." I cried. But there was no one to answer my cries. I was left all alone. But Lasaki, my mother-in-law, she treated me well if I listened to her. She made me to do all the work at home and also she made me to work at the farm. The sickle which I carried to cut the grass roots was bigger than my hands. Sometimes I was unable to carry it. People laughed at me. I worked in the farm along the slithering snakes. And there was a time when I escaped from the tiger, which looked very ferocious. Life was hard. Days passed by. But if I obeyed Lasaki, she treated me well. When I was 13 years old, a sad incident happened. Lasaki fell ill and she passed away. I felt like I have lost my mother for a second time. I felt so lost, but there was no one to help me around. Ketu was not warm towards me at all. He was hostile towards me. I do not know why he was hostile towards me. Days passed by, and when I was 19 years old, I gave birth to my girl child, first girl child. Was Ketu happy? No, he was not happy at all. I started giving birth to more girl children, and these days, Ketu started to become very violent. He became too abusive. He insulted me because those days the birth of the girl child was not encouraged by the society. I cried. And whenever I felt bad, I went to the goddess temple and I prayed to her. I said, "Hey, Mata goddess, why is that? People are insulting me. Why is Ketu not treating me properly? I request you to give me 5 sons and 100 muris of rice." That was my prayers. After a while, Ketu and I migrated to a new place. Were things getting better there? Yes, they started to get better. I started giving birth to the sons, which Ketu wanted. Now he was not abusive towards me. He mellowed down. Days passed by and I had 5 sons. Though my lands were yielding enough crops and though my cattle was faring very well, we never had enough money at home. I did not know the reason behind it. In few days, Ketu was not well and he died too. After his death, the debtors, they started to follow me. They came to me and they demanded me to pay back the debts. I asked them, debts? I never borrowed from any of you. That's when I got the answer for the mystery. Ketu has been gambling all the money and he has left behind him a big debt. I had to pay these debts. How will I calculate the debts? Yes, that's when the stones which I played as when I was a kid helped me. I used these stones to calculate my debts and income. Slowly, I paid back my debts. And when I started to get my savings, I started to deposit them in the bank. During one of my trips to the bank, I happened to see a local tailor. He was sad. I asked him, "Hey, Bhaiya, why are you sad?" That's when the tailor told me, "Karika, I'm sad because the bank said they will not be able to lend me any money." That's when I got an idea. I asked the tailor, "Will you take money from me?" He was happy. He said, "What? Will you be able to lend me money?" I told him, "Yes, I will be able to lend you money, but you should give me 2% interest." Because that was the only percentage which I can calculate with my stones. He took the money from me, and slowly the word started to spread. And people started to come and they started to visit me asking for loans. But I was always careful to lend money only to the people whom I know or whom was known to the people known to me. So I was careful with my business and I became a successful micro lender. Days passed by. I became old. My sons grew up. They studied well. They settled down in good jobs. They had their own families too. Now I have become a successful microlender, a landowner, and a happy grandmother. Goddess has blessed me with the 5 sons and also the 100 muris of rice. More than that, when I sit at a corner of my house and when I hear my granddaughters laugh, I feel happy for them that they don't have to go through the hardships which I had endured. And you know what? Two madams, Sharon Steele and Zoe Dryden, when they visited Nepal, they thought that my story was too inspiring and they wrote a book called 5 Sons and 100 Muris of Rice. If you want to learn more about my story, please do read the book. Thanks everyone for listening to my story patiently. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You brought alive the story, which is, it's not just of Nepal, which was very common in India too and nearby countries. Beautifully, beautifully portrayed the girls, thing initial, and the the story grew and grew, beautiful. Zareen,
Thank you.
good luck with whatever endeavors and uh, your new project and new work. Good luck with that.
Thank you.
Hi, Zareen, Shri here. I think you said it very nicely because it's such a long story, and to bring it in words and to your first person narration, I think that is very nice. The way you adapted it, such a complicated story, but then you made it so simple and easy. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Zareen. All the best.
Thank you.
Hi, Zareen. This is Leena here. Very nice story. And I remember earlier also one story you told about a boy who was a waiter somewhere. So I feel this very nice that you are giving voices to other people's stories also. So this is taking one step ahead. There are people who are not able to tell their stories, and they are huge inspiration where she was and where she has come, and you are giving voices to these people. So really appreciate your work, also your choice of stories. That's really wonderful. Thank you for
Thank you.
sharing the story.
Thank
Thank
you,
you,
Leena.
Zareen.
Thank you that you remember the story. That was about a manual scavenger. The boy was a manual scavenger's son, and
Yes. Correct. Yes. Very nice.
But I think we are upset with the injustice that she went through. What if she did not have 5 sons? No, her
she
husband
had
probably.
daughters. She had daughters to Eric, and towards the end of the story, she's happy that these granddaughters whom she is having are having a good life compared to her. So she had to go through the hardships, but she worked hard and she had this land. She provided well for her sons, and in turn, now her granddaughters are enjoying a good life. They are able to go to schools, and more than anything,
Go
she's
to the bathroom.
happy.
Wash the bum and come. Go.
Yeah,
Go to the bathroom.
so she is happy that her granddaughters have settled well. So towards the end of the story, that's the crux. So she is feeling that her granddaughters will not be going through the same hardships which she is going through. So that I felt was a good thing.
But I'm saying if she did not have 5 sons, who knows what would have happened to her? She was lucky.
Yeah, she was abused when she had the girls. So that's the story. Yeah. So initially when she had the daughters, she was abused by her own husband. He said like she has put her down in front of the society by giving birth to girls. So that's when she wanted to get these sons to prove to the society. So society at that point took the birth of the sons as a good thing. So she
No,
wanted to prove to the society.
she would have taken care of the girls only. At that juncture, no boy will be there, and
Yes.
she would have separated from from her husband, and she would have taken care of her girls and brought them in a better way. And
Yes.
that could be a another twist to the story.
Yes, yes. The daughters whom she had, they married well and they settled in good families too. But again, I did not want to specify that because that's the usual norm which they followed as their mother too. The granddaughters are having a different life from that of their mothers and the grandmother. So they are more empowered now. They go to the universities, they study now. So that's one of the reasons why I spoke about the granddaughters alone. So the mother and the daughters, the life was almost the same.
Very well told, Zareen. I must say, very well told. Innocent, bubbly, full of life, and major shifts. You know what we actually wanted a little bit more you talking about when they were just looking at, when you produce girl children, what is the reaction in society? That reaction in society still persists.
Yes, it's still there.
It's still
But
there. So
yeah.
that's why the question, I think, probably, we just generally asking you that if it's just the girls, why did you have to wrap it up and say, okay, give him the boys, basically, that's what the society needs. That's what the family required. So
Yes.
there is, an imbalance of the sex determination, basically, which really takes place. So there's a shift, but very positive. And I think the woman rules the rules. Basically, the woman is ruling in the end.
Yes.
So you walk away wearing the medals. With you're the woman of substance, according to me. So
Yes,
it was
yes.
very, very well told. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And all the sons were also dependent on her for a very long time. So that's the turning point here. The father who wished for sons, but still the sons, they had to depend on the mother for a very long time till they settled down. Even now, they live in the land which was given to them by their mother. That is, Karika's land is where they live in. So considering all that, it was a woman who provided for this.
Yes,
See, both of you
exactly.
go.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.